Hello and welcome to my new video. As you might remember, last year I was at Wohlebens Forest Academy, and here I learned a lot about trees and their behavior, especially during drought or dry years. What is the problem with dry years? You can see it here. I'm standing here on my property. We have a tree here, and around the tree you can see that everything is dried out. This year, again, we have a very dry year, and that has a very negative effect on our trees. Why does it do that? Trees have a kind of memory. That means if they are exposed to a particularly dry year, they basically remember it. And that affects the tree for the next years, if not even decades. That means the yield of this tree, if you have an apple tree, a pear tree, a plum tree, or something similar, will simply have less yield in the coming years because it remembers this year was especially dry. So next year I'm a bit more cautious with developing fruits, leaves, and everything else. As a result, your yield is very poor. Nevertheless, this heat obviously puts a lot of stress on the trees, and many gardeners try to counteract this by watering the trees heavily and early. That means you water them with a watering can, a hose, or something similar. However, this doesn't have a good effect on the trees. Why? The liquid that you apply here on the surface for a short moment soaks into the surface, evaporates immediately, and actually doesn't reach the tree. Why is that? Trees are usually deep-rooted. That means the water has to penetrate very deep into the soil so that it can even reach the roots and be absorbed by the tree. How can you test whether your watering method is actually helping the tree? It's quite simple. Just water the tree, give it a good watering, wait for 1 or 2 hours, and then just take a spade. I'll show you here. Just stick the spade somewhere around the tree into the soil. Try to go about 10, 20, or even better, 30 centimeters deep. Just dig out the soil and take a look at it. As you can see, we can skip this step since I can't get the spade even 10 centimeters into the ground. As you can see, the soil is completely dry in those 10 centimeters. That means we don't have any water at all for the tree here, even though it actually rained here just yesterday. So what can we do now to water our trees, to irrigate them? There are different methods for this. For example, I've seen this with many tree owners. They dig a kind of small moat around the trees and water the tree so that the water stays around the tree. This method isn't ideal, as it also releases water into the surroundings, causing much of it to evaporate, and you have high losses. Then there are some people who do a kind of continuous irrigation, which means they turn on a water hose or a garden sprinkler permanently and water the tree. You lose a lot of water here, and it's very expensive. So what can we do to water our tree well without wasting a lot of water? There's a very good method for this. I'd just like to show it to you here. The method is also quite inexpensive. This is what's called a watering bag. I just brought one with me here. They're not expensive. If you want a watering bag like this, see the video description below for sources. We have a small instruction manual in the bag here. I'll just take it out now. And as you can see here, the bag is made of a kind of tarpaulin fabric that seems quite dense at first glance. However, this fabric is slightly water permeable. That means when you fill this bag, it will release the water at the bottom so that we can actually deliver the water directly to the tree roots. This bag is simply placed around the tree. Let me just show you. The key here is to examine the area around the tree. If there are any sharp stones, branches, or other objects that could potentially damage the bag, please remove them and make sure the ground here is reasonably free of foreign objects that could damage your bag. Next, we'll take this bag, and it's important. Take a look at the bag here. It has a little tag up here. This is also the instruction manual at the same time. When we lift this up, we have our filling opening for the water here. Please pay attention to which side of the tree you can best access to fill this bag. Then we can fill it with a hose or watering can. Important, this bag holds quite a lot of water. Place this bag around the tree. It also has 2 carrying handles here, but please don't let that confuse you. Do not carry the bag when it's full of water. The water would be much too heavy, you could hurt yourself, and the bag could also get damaged. That means the bag will only be filled at the tree. We will now place it around the tree. Make sure that when you do this, the bag doesn't form any large folds, because these folds could also potentially damage the bag. Then we move to the other side of the bag. It has a kind of zipper here, and we can basically just close it here. Again, make sure the bag is lying flat without any big folds, and then it's basically ready to be filled. It's worth noting, as shown here, we already have a thick tree, and there are even thicker ones. If you want to use this bag on thicker trees, you can of course just buy 2, 3, or even 4 bags and simply connect them together using the zippers. This way, you're basically creating a larger bag out of the smaller ones, and you can use it to water larger plants or trees accordingly. Now we've basically put the bag on the tree, and we're simply filling it with water through this small opening. We can fill the bag in different ways. The easiest way would be to use a watering can. Just pour the water in here. When pouring, please make sure that the bag fills up properly, and if it forms any folds down here, I'll lower the camera a bit. Make sure to either take these out a bit or pull the bag up again so that no creases form down here. And so we can fill the water in properly. As you can see, a lot of water fits into the bag. That's why I recommend, if you have one available, use a water hose for this. The bag will now release the water that was put in here into the ground over the next few hours. The advantage, it is released slowly into the ground. It seeps slowly into the soil. Importantly, the bag's surface area also keeps the ground from drying out. That means the water can really enter the soil, reach the roots, and then actually be absorbed by the tree. Here's an additional piece of information. On a wider tree trunk, the bag naturally holds quite well. If you have very thin trees, the bag may slip down very quickly. Usually these trees are also surrounded by a frame so they can grow properly. You can attach the bag to these eyelets to keep it at the top and prevent slipping. I'll keep filling up the bag here until it's completely full, and then we'll let it do its job. So here's another little time jump. You can see the bag is still in use here. I just refilled it. What's there to report here? In the past few weeks, you might have heard about it in the media. I live here in Thuringia, and it was quite dry for us, so dry that we even had several forest fires. My sack here worked well, my tree is well watered. You can see it here on the ground around it, nice and moist with beautiful dark soil around the tree. When you touch and press it here, it's pleasantly moist. I also tested it occasionally. I'll show you. I came here with the spade and took some more samples, and you can see here too the soil is nicely moist deep down. So what else is there to report? I usually fill the bag about once a week. So now you know how long one fill of water lasts for me. That means I refill it about once a week. That's 70 to 75 liters that go in, and after a week there's still a little bit left, so I can refill it again. That means the effort for watering is also very low, and I don't need that much water, so I hardly waste any water. Of course, if you consider that otherwise you'd be pouring 20 or 40 liters every day with a watering can, this obviously requires much less water. If you're also interested in such a watering system in this watering bag, just take a look at the video description below. I'll just link the sources for this system there so you can get it for yourselves if you're interested. If the manufacturer provides me with a discount code or something similar, I'll also include it for you in the video description below. I'm also interested, how do you protect your trees from drying out and from the intense summers we're having right now? Do you have any tips for this? Write them down in the comments below as well, so that maybe all of us can benefit from your knowledge. Do you have any more questions about this system? Please ask them in the comments as well. If I can pick out a few more useful questions here and maybe make another video, I will do that. I can also answer simple questions down in the comments. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope I was able to give you another helpful tip here. If that's the case, I'd of course appreciate a thumbs up. Do you want to watch more of my videos? No problem. Just subscribe to my channel here, because subscribing on YouTube is of course free. Goodbye until next time, yours Mark on YouTube.